Hello, this is Anon, and this has been one of my most favorite projects I've ever done for school. It took me a while, precisely 9 days to finish this, which is kind of hectic since I spent all those 9 days doing this, and only this. If you're wondering why there hasn't been any new uploads, this is why. I also want to say that this movie has to be my most favorite movie in recent memory. Also, since it has been 9 days, I'm kind of overdue on the project. And since I put a lot of effort into this project, I really hope that my English teacher actually fucking grades it. Because I put a lot of effort into this, and I would be really upset if it went to waste. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. I would also recommend watching the movie before watching this video because major spoiler alert, even though this movie did come out a year after I was born, it's still a great movie, and I would recommend you watching it first to get like the full experience. In case YouTube tries to be a bit stinky, this video is perfectly legal. It falls under transformative content, and I did not pirate the movie. I spent the full money amount on Amazon Prime. So, if YouTube tries to take down this video, I'm gonna make a big stink about it. Movies made by Disney. Ew. Jess Aarons is a 7th grader living in Lark Creek, Virginia during the 1970s, right after the end of the Vietnam War. First we learn of him, we know one thing. Jess likes to run a lot, and he lives in a house of 6. Mary, Maybelle, Brenda, Ellie, Jack, his dad, and Jess, of course. Bro forgot about Joyce. They are important to the story, except 2. They poor as fuck. Can't even afford new shoes. He has to wear his sister's shoes. This makes him upset because they're pink. He's bullied by the typical ass mean girls on the bus. TM. Strict teacher, Miss Myers, the type to take her anger out on the kids.
No talking, no chewing gum, no electronic devices. Be forewarned, if you download any essay off of the internet, you will be downloaded into detention.
He isn't safe in class either. Even the guys bully him. New kid spawns. Short blonde hair, denim jacket, named Leslie. Almost immediately gets harassed by the mean girls. Jess is a part of the track program. Not surprising. And he's the typical first place winner, fastest kid in the school. Then Leslie shows up. She wants to join, but a guy says no because
this is just for guys! Hey, I'm talking to you!
Jess doesn't let the stickhead get away with that and jumps in to defend Leslie. The race starts, and Maybelle, Jess's sister, is cheering him from the sidelines, managing to keep up with him. Like a little girl about this tall is keeping up with an 8th grader. Then Leslie speeds past him, taking first place, leaving him in the dust. Jess collapses in shock, and Leslie tries to be a good sport by helping him up. But Jess refuses because he's still butthurt about losing. When they return home, Leslie gets off at the same dock. Jess is confused by this. And Leslie just casually points to a house that I will never be able to afford in my entire life and says, she lives there. We start to learn the family dynamic and learn that Jess is treated poorly, being the only male in the house. And Maybelle is treated like a little princess. Jess feels unloved. Leslie wants to be friends with Jess and the quirky girl there. She's very extroverted, while Jess is the exact opposite. In their class, Leslie volunteers to read her writing assignment to the class. The short passage depicts in great detail drowning.
I'm floating in silence and breaking it up with the sound of my breath. Above me, there's nothing but shimmery light. The place where I have come from, and will go back to when I am done here.
As a homework assignment, the kids have to watch TV. Leslie says that she doesn't have one. She says that her parents believe that TV rots her brain, so she just doesn't have one. The class reacts like she just dropped the N-word, hard R, Later, Leslie attempts to sit in the back of the bus, but only the cool kids, cool with a K, instead of a C and a Z at the end, TM, sit at the back of the bus. Jess climbs over the seats to save her. Jess gives her a little lecture. Back at home, Leslie wants to go into the forest with Jess alone. Red flag, do not do this. They will steal your kidneys. They engage in their favorite activity, so they race. They stumble across a rope hanging from a tree, over a river, ultra red flag, do not trust it. Leslie fucking Tarzan swings across the river, then peer pressures Jess to do it too. Jess doesn't give much resistance and swings across. I'm surprised he didn't fucking fall with how close he touched the river. The next day, the mean girl, TM, falls and accuses Jess of tripping her. The bus driver believes this immediately and kicks Jess off the bus. Twitter moment. Back in the forest, they start rebuilding a fucking treehouse. Jess starts to ask questions about Leslie's life and her parents. Leslie reveals that they are writers, which explains that little story she wrote. The squirrels attack! Holy shit, get that! Leslie runs off into the forest again and almost directly quotes Mufasa from The Lion King.
Look at it. It's all ours. From the mountains to the oceans.
Jess asks, what do we call this place? Leslie calls it Terabithia. Jess gets surprised by his own birthday. Leslie finds this out and gives him a whole-ass $100 drawing set. Something I forgot to mention until now because I thought it wasn't important. In Jess's free time, he also likes to draw. Leslie has seen this art before. Jess accepted the gift and is absolutely jarred, absolutely confuzzled, baffled. Some might even say confuzzled, because he never had someone genuinely care about him before in his entire life. Then, May Bell hits them with the classic Kissing in a Tree song, in which Leslie server mutes her. Later at the treehouse again, I'm taken aback by the fact they're still rebuilding a fucking treehouse. A tree falls and somehow doesn't destroy the newly rebuilt house by 2 7th graders. Leslie thinks a troll uprooted the tree, but realistically it was just probably a low-level earthquake. They go off after it to find it for some reason. If it was an actual 20-foot tall creature that can uproot like a 50-foot tall tree, you should not go anywhere near it. They find the giant's footprints and it appears to have 3 big toes. They both end up finding the troll and race toward a rope at supersonic speed. And I thought there for a second that I was going to start playing Sweet Mountain from Sonic Colors for the Wii. When Jess gets home, he decides to free an animal from one of his dad's traps into the forest. And when his dad found out, he fucking tears him a new one, saying that it's a pest and he'll probably come back and eat them out of the house and home, putting even more pressure on Jess. The favoritism really shows when Maybelle is hugged in bed, kissed on the forehead, and is wished sweet dreams, and all that Jess gets is lights out. The next morning, Maybelle skips over to Jess with Twinkie in hand and starts gloating. Jess informs her that if she loses it or someone takes it, don't come crying to him. She says that she's not going to lose it. And not even a full second later, Maybelle comes running across the courtyard, yelling, "Someone took my Twinkie." Maybelle tells our 2 main characters that Mrs. Resident Mean Girl, TM, was the one who took it. Leslie, after hearing so many complaints about her, forces people to pay money to use the bathroom, starts a protest, in which is stopped when they reach the bathroom to protest.
What Twinkies? Twinkie?
The shortest protest in history that we know of. Maybelle tells Jess that you're my big brother. You're supposed to stand up for her and fight her bullies. Jess states that he can't fight a girl, he'll get in massive trouble. This is the 70s after all. On the way home from school, they pass by a little stand on the side of the road selling dogs. He sees a Havanese dog. And Jess thinks of the most glorious idea. Jess meets up with Leslie in the forest and surprises her with the Havanese dog. He tells her that this Havanese dog will help them track down this troll, which makes sense since dogs are very good at tracking anything down with just a lingering smell. They end up being quite successful in finding the troll, but a problem arises when this 20-foot tall troll starts chasing them and the Havanese dog eating out its toes for some reason, and they find out that it's ticklish. Yay, I guess. Also, it's a giant tree monster. The two decide that they have had enough of Janice, mean girl, so they need to find one thing that she cares about. She has a crush on someone. So they pretend to be the person and write her a love letter saying, "Meet me outside the bus." And it works perfectly. She comes to the bus with note in hand and figures out that he didn't write it. Get fucking clowned on, loser. Jess meets Leslie's parents, who are 100% workaholics because they just finished writing a whole ass book and they're remodeling their fucking house. 1. Jess meeting the parents is a typical couples activity. 3. No wonder why Leslie was able to rebuild a whole ass fucking tree house. But that doesn't explain why Jess was able to do the same. Jess arrives home and is immediately told to do homework and that he has extra chores now. Reminds me of my parents. Now that I think of it, I'm pretty sure that Jess is the only kid in the house that does chores. At school, Leslie discovers that their prank works so well that Janice is crying in the bathroom like a little bitch. That's not fair to say to a child as abused at home. Leslie tells that to Jess, and we get a new perspective on Janice's bullying. Jess invites Leslie to church, and she discovers Christianity. Then Jess, Maybelle, and Leslie debate on if doesn't believe in Christ, they deserve to suffer for eternity in hell. I personally am an atheist, so I don't believe that hell will exist. But if it did, that's a really trashy thing to do. Making someone suffer till the end of time because they don't agree with you. Holy shit, Jess sleeps like me. Dad woke him up asking where his keys went. Jess doesn't know. Dad is upset, understandable. They look for them in the greenhouse. Dad complains about having to replace locks, which is expensive. And Dad drops the line of the century.
Make yourself useful and draw me some damn money.
Jess can't take his shit anymore and fucking snaps back at him. We shortly find out Dad's little angel, Maybelle, took the keys. In the forest, Jess complains about his dad to Leslie and asks, what's the point of being serious all the time? A shadow demon starts stalking them. The troll saves them and turns out to be Janice, the mean girl. I guess we know where she's ticklish, I guess. The keys are found and returned to Dad, and not a single word is exchanged, not even a thank you. Their music teacher calls Jess's house and asks if he wants to go to the museum with her. That's the sketchiest thing I've ever heard. His parents don't know. This is literally kidnapping. On the way, they pass Leslie's house, and Jess thinks, should I invite Leslie? Nah. Jess has never been to a museum before, which isn't surprising at this point. Jess arrives home, and his parents are freaking out reasonably, and we see the other siblings for the first time since the beginning of the movie. The parents aren't freaking out about the kidnapping. Jess is stunned and is asking, what's going on? Dad tells him that Leslie drowned that morning. The rope that I said was sketchy snapped, and she fell into the river and drowned. Jess doesn't believe this and accuses his dad of lying and begins the 5 stages of grief. 1. Denial. They go to Leslie's wake to pay respects. Leslie's dad admits to Jess that Leslie loved him and that Jess was her first ever friend. Then he transitions into his eulogy. 2. Anger. Jess tells his music teacher that they should have invited Leslie. The next day, a kid starts talking shit about Leslie. And Jess punches him so hard that he hits the wall behind him. The strike teacher calls him into the hallway and admits to him that she also lost someone that she cared about too. And that it's okay to cry and let it all out. In the music class, which is usually bright and happy, it's dull and quiet. And Jess starts crying, all alone, free, depression. Kids push him to the floor in the hallway, and Janice joins the good side and almost kills them. Jess goes back to the forest to investigate the death site and discovers two things. The 50-foot-tall tree is uprooted by the storm, which had to be like a Category 5 hurricane to uproot the tree that big, and that the rope was, in fact, snapped in half. He continues to search into the forest when he hears Earl's voice calling his name. He rushes, thinking that it's Leslie, for bargaining. He discovers that Maybelle tried to follow him. He gets so steamed, so angry, that he pulls an Arthur and pushes his sister. Maybelle runs home in tears and tells Dad, finding this out, he knows what he has to do. Back in the forest, the Shadow Demon starts stalking Jess again. He runs for fear, and the Shadow Demon runs directly at him. Jess screams in fear, and it turns out to be Dad. He clutches Jess close, telling him that it wasn't his fault, and not to blame himself. Jess asked if Leslie will go to hell, and he said,
I don't know everything about God, but I do know he's not gonna send that little girl to hell.
Then Dad tells him,
She brought you something special when she came here, didn't she? That's what you hold on to. That's how you keep her alive.
5. Acceptance. Jess honors her memory by floating a little handmade boat with her picture on it down the river that she drowned in. Leslie's parents are spotted leaving with a moving truck, and Jess is able to keep up and pass it. Jess asks if he can use the wood they left behind, and Leslie's dad says, okay, don't knock yourself out. Then,
You know, I meant to give you Prince Tarian, but I can't seem to give him up.
Leslie would have wanted you to have him.
Yeah.
Jess accepts this and goes on his way. Then he proceeds to use spare wood to construct a whole-ass fucking bridge, complete with archways. He goes home to console Maybelle, which is giving him the silent treatment. He invites her to the forest that she was forbidden to enter before. She shows her the bridge and tells her about the kingdom of Terabithia, and explains that it can be anything she wants. And she wants
A castle. A big one with towers and flags.
Jess crowns her princess of Terabithia, and the kingdom forms before their eyes. Oh!
Great work. That was funny.
Hello, once again. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, took 9 days to complete. And I also spent quite a bit of money on it too. So what I'm trying to say is, please, like and subscribe. I would really like to get 1,000 subs. I really don't get paid enough to do this. Not saying I didn't have fun. I'm just saying that it was very taxing on my mental health. So yeah, off to graduation. See you next time. I would like to thank my friend Ryan for being the teleprompter, and I would also like to thank my boyfriend Drake, who operated the camera to make sure, I stayed on frame. Without this, I would have never gotten it on time. So yeah,